Welcome everybody, I'm Andy Marks from the Centre for Western Sydney, and I'm delighted to have Professor Jennifer Westacott, AO, our Chancellor, and distinguished Professor George Williams here with us today, AO. Fantastic to have an in-conversation with our leaders at a critical time for Western Sydney and for the university. And we happen to be catching you guys on the cusp of the development of a new strategy for the university. And that strategy, Jennifer, I'll talk to you first about this,
Sure.
has a concept called catapult projects. What's a catapult project?
Well, a catapult project, if you kind of take the meaning of the term, is about pushing us way forward on something. So obviously the strategy will have all of the usual things that you'll see in a strategy, and we'll talk about that a bit more. But we've got to do some things where you absolutely accelerate what you're doing. And so, for example, a centre of primary healthcare and nursing. We're already fantastic at nursing. We're a world leader. How do you catapult even further by building an advantage? A centre for teaching excellence. And then this whole idea of personalisation, which I think is going to be a hallmark of the university.
Yep.
How do we make that accelerate really fast so that we kind of get the competitive advantage with our other universities, but also that we start to improve the student experience? So it's about that real energy, fast track. And I think the final point about catapult projects is they belong to the whole university.
Yep.
We see them as projects for the entire university, not just the faculty that it's relevant to.
And there's a synergy here too, I think, with the Unlimited Potential project, which is about an economic plan for our region. That also talks about acceleration. And what is the uni's role in that, George?
Well, the uni's role is to be the university that Western Sydney deserves and needs. I mean, this is a region that has the most potential in Australia. It's going to drive not just economic progress, but prosperity, social progress of this nation in the decades to come. And not just nationally, but internationally through what will be Sydney's premier airport. That region deserves the best university, world class, and we've already got such a strong foundation, but there's a lot more we need to do in keeping with Western Sydney. So really we need to be aligned with the needs of this community, serve what are the most important priorities, and make sure we deliver on our promises.
So I'm thinking now this is going to require a pretty special model of university. And Jennifer, when you commenced as Chancellor, you talked about how we would see things differently in Western Sydney. You were very insistent on an asset view of Western Sydney. How's that informed your thinking?
Well, I think it's about, seeing things that have been characterised as disadvantages as assets. Incredible diversity in language and culture. It's an asset. Very young population, asset. The biggest proportion of SMEs in the country, asset. Very large Indigenous population, asset. And because if I think about, my knowledge of what employers are looking for, they're looking for diversity. They're looking for people who are going to kind of challenge assumptions. They're looking for those first-in-family people that are hungry.
The entrepreneurial spirit of the region.
That entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
They're looking for people who want stuff, who are driven by it, not people who are entitled to it. And I think if we can make those assets not disadvantages, and we corral a really careful, clever strategy that we all own, we can really propel the university.
And this, I think that the takeout there is just how different that is from the experience of other universities or other regions. And that leads me on, George, to one of the themes that you've pursued early on too, which is about us taking a different path. What's the different path look like, and who are we different from?
Well, we're different from the rest, partly because of our region. I mean, there is no university that serves 2.7 million people, a youthful, dynamic, diverse region that's not just about opportunity, but dare I say it, unlimited potential as well.
See what you did there?
And we're defined by that region, as we should be. We're a university where we're looking to break down the walls. That is defined by serving our students and community. And I have to say there's no university in the country that does that. Our path is not to be another GO8. They're great institutions. Our path is actually to blaze a trail that's very different from elsewhere. And again, I want to be judged by how well we're serving students and community. And it's not self-interest. It's about what we deliver for the people ultimately that we serve.
So that's a critical point too, wanting to be accountable. And I know, Jennifer, you've spoken very much as well about the importance of some key things for our region, about literacy and about some motivating things for you personally. But you've often used the phrase, you won't let these things slide on your watch. And that's a signal of accountability. But How deep is that?
Oh, it's a very deep thing because I think to George's point, we've just got this incredible opportunity. So to let it go by on our watch would be unforgivable. And of course we have to be practical, we have to be realistic about what's achievable. But if we're not bold, we'll have missed this opportunity. And if we're not bold, we'll see our competitors come into our region, perhaps not with the same energy and motivation that we've got, which is about that unlimited potential of the region, the unlimited potential of people and communities. And we've got to get ahead of that. And so we've got to be bold, we've got to be ambitious, because failure, if you sort of say, what's failure? Well, it's measured in lots of ways, but to me, we'll have failed people.
Yeah.
And, I always use the expression that kids don't fail school, schools fail them.
Yeah. So
We
true.
can't be the university that fails our people. We have to be the university that propels them, that drives their excellence, drives their unlimited potential, so that for the whole of their life, they say, my life changed because I was a student at Western Sydney University and my life was catapulted into fulfillment and prosperity because I went to this university.
So we're talking about a particular type of energy and collegiality and leadership, George, and where at the board level you can see the level of commitment, and we've seen very early on your commitment too. What does that look like as it seeps down through the university more broadly?
And I think to start, it is about commitment.
Yeah.
And I feel incredibly fortunate to be working with the Chancellor in this area because, the drive that the Chancellor brings to this, my mission is to realise that.
Yep.
And I'm confident we have the opportunity to do so. And it's also for both of us, I think, personal. We both come from backgrounds where we both benefit through education. We've seen actually what it's like to need to fight hard for something. And that's what I'm determined to do on behalf of this university.
Yep.
But when it comes to what it looks like at our university, I see myself as joining a community of leaders. It's not my job to direct the whole organisation as to what people do in their day-to-day work. My job is to have the settings right, to give people the opportunity to thrive, to make sure that we have a model of trust and empowerment, and ultimately within that to hold people to account, because we do have this heavy responsibility to deliver on our mission. So that's the sort of organisation I want to lead, a community of leaders where we're really supporting people to do their best.
And again, I think that speaks to the expectations of the region. We talk about a sense of urgency from the university, but this region is very urgent in its aspirations as well. Everybody who starts in a job says that they want to be a great listener. You've said that as well, Jennifer, and you've said that too. But Western Sydney is a pretty big place and it's a very diverse place. So what does being a good listener look like, Jennifer?
Look, I think listening is about hearing. It's not about just nodding and sort of noting. It's about saying, well, what can I take from that? What can we change?
Yep.
Listening is also about communication. It's also about playing back to people what we've heard, what can be done, generating ideas, but also being realistic about things that are going to take a long time. I think part of the community frustration with engagement and consultation is people nod and listen and they note. They don't engage. They don't say, look, let me understand that issue. Now let's kind of get realistic about what can be done and what can be done within the time and resources that we've got. People are so much more respectful when you say, well, that is really important. We want to do that, but it's going to take this, and
When
this.
you're up front with them. Yeah.
And I think it's also what I call the process of permanent and continuous dialogue. I think the really important thing that I know George wants to do as Vice-Chancellor, and we want to make sure we do as the board, is that we don't just, in this strategy process that we're going through, just say, well, we're doing this strategy, thanks very much, and off we go. No, it's a constant process of feedback, of checking in with people. Is it working? And I want people to start seeing strategy as something that we set our direction, we update it, we refine it, but we don't throw it out every 5 years and say, we're doing a new strategy, because I think that has this exhausting effect on people.
That's an important point too. So we're in the business now at this strategic phase of developing a core set of principles really that we adapt and evolve as we go.
That's right, Andy. And I think let's be clear about one thing that won't change, and that's our mission.
Yeah.
I mean, our mission, we are true to mission from our first day 35 years ago. It's a mission that should still hold in 15 years for our 50th anniversary. It's about providing education for all, open access education. It's about research that changes lives. And I've come into this job really committed to that mission, but I'm open to ideas. I actually do not have all the answers. And The world is changing quickly around us, and that's why I started with inviting 250 people at Western Sydney to answer 5 questions. I'm reading those at the moment.
Good.
And my views are being shaped, and I'm actually getting wonderful ideas. And we've got a true to mission strategy, but we need to hear from people. We need their buy-in. We need their commitment, because I know the best ideas are going to come from our schools, from our professional staff, and that's what's going to shape what we do over the next 5 years.
I know we'll keep playing that back too, and that survey process is ongoing as well.
It will be.
I'm going to spring a question on you before we wrap up, because there is a pretty urgent set of circumstances coming upon our region with proposed limits to international student numbers coming into Australia. How's that going to impact Western Sydney? I'll start with you, George.
It could have a really negative impact on our students and our community. And of course, I start with the students who want to study with us.
Yep.
These might be a Nepalese student who wants to come here and be a nurse.
Yep.
I mean, we need those people here in this country, and maybe the door will be closed to them. But we're also talking about local families, for example, who through our homestay program take on international students, join their family, the students pay some money to help defray cost of living pressures. I'm thinking for local businesses around our campuses that depend upon these international students. So if we get this wrong, these national policy settings, it's the community that's going to suffer. And let me also say that this is a policy directed at a housing shortage in Australia. We actually have a bed for every single international student.
So it's not a problem in Western Sydney.
There is no problem. We actually have excess capacity at the moment, and we're about to build 500 more beds. So in our case, the policy just is not well calibrated.
Yeah.
We are serving the community, and we've got to make sure we don't get an outcome that harms those people.
Jennifer, we know about your deep experience in housing, and we've heard that issue around it, that connection that's attempted to be made to housing affordability. But what really is the impact on Western Sydney, to George's point, if we turn the tap off? I mean, there's a big risk, isn't it?
It's a huge risk. It's a huge risk financially, obviously. But that to me is like obviously an issue. But it's kind of the message it sends. And I think we've got to once and for all come to terms with something I said in my installation speech. International education is a hallmark of Australia's diplomacy. It's the best soft diplomacy you can ever do. It's a hallmark of our trade and our economic vibrancy. We've got a Southeast Asian strategy that nominates education as one of the key sectors. And what are we doing? We're sending a very confused message to those important parts of our region that are growing at an exponential rate that need to have that interchange. And thirdly, we're cutting off our nose to spite our face. We need skilled people coming into this country, taking those skills back. We need to bring skilled migrants into this country to lift our industries and grow our expertise and create the demand for services people want. So to me, it's kind of it's a solution looking for a problem. And it's the wrong way to think about it. We should be super proud that thousands and thousands of young people want to come and study in this country, because everyone in our region is a beneficiary for it.
And I suppose I'd add, Jennifer, I agree, it's a solution without a problem. It's not even a solution either.
Well, it's a bad
so
solution.
poorly calibrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now's not the time to be taking a backward step in that area.
Well, I was in Indonesia a few weeks ago in my role as the government's business champion. And the number of times people said to me, we just don't understand what message you're trying to send by these policy changes. So I agree with George. I don't know what the problem is. This is certainly not the right solution to a problem that doesn't exist. If we want to have a national debate about housing, let's have that debate.
Yeah.
Let's have it properly. Let's get it done. But let's not try and pick off these issues that are actually kind of just going to be own goals for the country.
Yeah, good point to end on. I want to thank Jennifer and George for being so open and available, and we'll be doing more of these over coming months, because it's really critical on this issue on international students, but also on the university strategy going forward, that we keep in touch with you. So nothing else to be said other than thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.